you, Mr. Dasgupta. Yeah. Good morning. You know, normally when I speak somewhere, I have a large women's audience. And probably today is the first time that, I can see lesser, fewer women. But I think the impact of women's empowerment should really be more on the audience here, because only then we can do something. Okay. As Mr. Dasgupta said, my name is Revati. And he was very generous about my introduction. You know, years ago, right, not years ago, decades ago, the buzzword used to be women's liberation. And everybody spoke of women's liberation. And women's liberation had kind of a negative connotation at that time. Over the years, over a few decades, this has evolved, like everything else evolves, into a nice word called women's empowerment. And truly speaking, women's empowerment is so necessary that I kept feeling while I was in my growing years that one should do something to empower women which really makes a difference to the entire society. And one must take topics which affect you in your everyday life. And something which probably is passionate to you would make things better for you to implement. So for me, over a number of skills that everybody has, I think everybody sitting here has 1, 2, 3, 4 multiple skills. But amongst those skills, there'll be something which one would do better than the others. And there was one such thing which I did better than most of the other skills which I had. I drove very well. Driving was my ultimate passion. I felt, one cannot be mediocre on the road because much as we would all like to think that we are great drivers, but if you actually look at the Indian statistics, it's very alarming. India tops the list for fatal road accidents in the entire world. We have 400 fatal deaths every day on Indian roads. And I'm talking of deaths. I'm not even talking of people who get crippled, people who get lamed. I'm not even talking of that. That's more than one aircraft every day. And this kept coming back to me at every stage when I was driving. I used to be very popular amongst my friends to, be invited for parties. I'm a teetotaler, I do not drink. So I was a perfect candidate to drop all my drunken friends back home. And I think in Mumbai, when there was Mr. Baijal initiated the drunken driving things, and not just when this started, everybody used to invite me. When I was, doing this, I kept dropping everybody with a thankless job because everybody is drunk, so nobody's really concerned about who's dropping you where. And all they were concerned was just, mere ko ghar pe chhod dena. And one such day, I just said to myself, why am I doing this? Nobody thanks me, nobody is grateful to me. I'm just doing this idiotic job. And it struck me that no, I can actually convert this passion of mine into a business. But then I said, if I have to actually convert this to a business, then why don't I do something for, again, there is no gender bias here. So if I may use words like women more often in my speech today, it is not about bias. It's just that I'm talking about women's empowerment. So I kept thinking to myself that I should do something for the women. And then it struck me that if I have to do something for the women of this, at least Mumbai, what do I do? How do I, let me start a taxi service. Very easy thought because, dreams are free, so you can dream. I also kept dreaming. I said, this is a great dream to have. And I said, now what do I do? So very happily, I launched a company. And I said, on the 8th of March, International Women's Day, here I am. I'm launching a great taxi service, which is to be driven by women for women only. Little did I realize when I did this that the least that one would need for starting this business would be one car and at least one woman to drive. I mean, if you don't have these two basics, obviously you cannot start this business. So neither did I have a car which I could call a taxi, or nor did I have a woman who would drive. Because I don't think driving, India has reached a stage where anybody sitting here would tell your daughters to go and become a driver. That's not possible. I mean, a BPO employee commands more respect than a driver today. So, where would I get women drivers from? So I said, if I have to start this business, I should do something which I dirty my hands. So I actually got onto the road. I hired a taxi. I hired a taxi from a contractor. And I said, let me become a taxi driver. I started driving as a taxi driver. For 10 months, I drove as a taxi driver, and probably the best period of my life, because I think, the number of tips I have received from the customers who actually drove in my taxi is amazing. I mean, people were so happy to see an English-speaking taxi driver. We got an absolute thumbs up from probably all the authorities in Mumbai. We did get a lot of regulatory issues, which we are still dealing with. But the point is that a market which never existed was created, and it was accepted in the market. I think everybody in the audience would love to have a woman driver for your daughter, for your wife, for your daughter-in-law, for anybody who wants to be driven back safe. We had a bigger challenge. We had a challenge that we had no drivers. So the immediate thing to do was to set up an institute to train women taxi drivers. Many a times we keep hearing, empowerment means papad banao, lonsa banao, and sell it. Or give them sewing machines. You give them sewing machines, but do you give them business for those sewing machines? Tomorrow morning when they need the money, they might actually go out in the market and sell the sewing machine to eat those 2 days of bread and butter. So we thought that skilling for employability and financial empowerment was the only solution to actually get these women out of their own homes. But that was really a daunting task, because it was not just getting the woman out. It was actually telling them to enter a profession which had never been done before. Never before was a woman driver, a commercial taxi driver who was driving 12 hours a day in the city of Mumbai. So it's a long story to cut it short. We started going to the slums. We started mobilizing and sourcing women from there. Started mentoring them. Not only them, we had to mentor their whole families, because if the mother said yes, the father would say no. If the parents said yes, the brother would say no. Finally, we started getting women out. It took us almost about 2 years, 2 full years, to get just 15 women trained. Only 15. So that actually gave us a lot of time to arrange our finances, get so many taxis on the road. And along with that, what we also realized was that driving, everybody learn. I mean, it's so easy to get a license in India. You pay 200 rupees, you get a license. So that's not a big deal. So we felt that if these women would be trained to actually become perfect drivers, then it is something that we have achieved. We may be able to eradicate mediocrity that exists on the road. So we designed a beautiful course. I'm sure everybody knows that every driving school, when you go for driving, it's a 21-day course where you learn for half an hour every day. So you're expected to learn driving in 10.5 hours. We know that is not possible. So we designed a course for all these women and actually empowered them mentally, physically, financially, and trained them for 3 full months. And in this entire training program, what we did was, we have a course on martial arts, which is conducted for a full 3 months. We have a course on etiquettes. We have a course on customer relations. We have a course on phraseology of what may be required for the girls to even speak in English, because most of these women come from very, very low economical backgrounds. They're all from the BPL families. So they come out and they start learning. And today, we are very proud to say that I had launched my first brand called Forshi in 2007. And later on, sold that company, started another company called Veera. And we're very proud to say that today we've trained almost more than about 1,000 women to become drivers in Mumbai. And we tried to replicate the same in Delhi. And I was just telling Kalikesh that we were such a spectacular failure in Delhi that, I don't think we want to go again and try, at least right now. But Mumbai, I think, we succeeded in creating a market. We creating empowerment for women today. All these girls, each of my girls, are employed with us. We don't have a contractual system where we just give them the cars and ask them to drive like many other taxi companies. But this model doesn't work with us, because You may, if there are in a family, if a woman and a boy, a man and a woman one of them wants to start a business, the family will bet on the man. A woman very rarely would be even given 200 rupees to trade in tomatoes. So it is very difficult for a family to actually put that money on a woman to learn for about 3 months and leave the other jobs that she's doing, because this same woman is actually doing odd jobs and making money. So she's actually going to give up those 3 months of doing anything else, and she comes back here and works here. We employ her. We do not train anybody to just come and learn driving. Every woman who comes to us learns with us, gets employed with us, and we have about 120 taxis in Mumbai now. We go across the city. We go to Shirdi, we go to Nasik, we go to Pune. All these girls are driving 24 hours. We handle 2 hotels, which are the entire staff of these 2 hotels for the night from 11 to 6 in the morning. The Taj, the Sahara, and the Westin are all handled by my women. I mean, through the night they are driving. Through the night, they're driving about 200 kilometers at night to ferry these women across and drop them back safely at home. And the beauty is that the passengers actually get addicted to women drivers, because they don't have to worry about who's looking at you through the rear view. I mean, the taxi driver, every woman I think will vouch for this, that when you sit in a cab, there is the taxi driver who's actually looking at you through the rear view. I mean, he's trying to communicate with you through the rear view mirror. So that really doesn't happen with any woman who's traveling with us. And they just get so addicted. They're so addicted that they want to have more and more women. So I think what we have managed to do in these 6 years, we should have achieved much more. We should have been about thousands and thousands of cabs by now, but we are not, because I think we have our own multiple problems that we deal with. A lot of it is related to funding, a lot of it is related to regulation. I mean, Maharashtra is still not giving us permits to drive our taxi. So we run without a meter. We run on the odometer. So we have various local problems that we deal with. But by and large, I think what we have managed to do is these women started earning 15,000 rupees a month. And with that, I think, they managed to get their entire family. I think BPL, this thing is 4,000 rupees a month per month for the entire family. So here, if that one girl starts earning 14 to 15,000 rupees, we're actually getting the entire family out of BPL. The children start going to better schools, and I personally believe, and I think everybody here would absolutely agree with me, that if a woman is earning, especially of that category, if she's earning 100 rupees, believe me, 90% of that would go back for the family. If she earns that money, she would try to use it very positively for the family. She'd either use it for the children, she'd also use it for maybe just painting the house. Maybe that's her wish. I mean, she's not going to, ask somebody for money for that. So we managed to do what we have, what was my own passion to do. I thought, in this very small way, I'll contribute something to the society in my own way of empowering women. So that's really what we've done. And we hope that, in the years to come, if we could replicate it in every city, because I think every city needs it. That's a far-fetched dream, but we're all allowed to dream. So, I think we really want to do it in every city going forward. Thank you, Mr. Dasgupta.